Hey, Bo here with Open Source Skateboards, and today I'm going to show you how to generate toolpaths for using a CNC router to cut out skateboards using files generated from SK8CAD. SkateCAD is the open source skateboards software that allows you to design skateboards and skateboard molds right in your browser. And a CNC router, if you don't already know what that is basically a robotic router. It is a machine that has a router attached to it that will follow instructions given to it from a file generated from a computer. And hence, this video is to show you how to make the instructions for the CNC router. First thing we're going to do is go to skatecad.com and get two files. We're going to need the mail mold file and the 2D vector of the skateboard. And I'm using the mail mold because the way that I typically mount this on the CNC machine is with the bottom of the skateboard facing up. You'd maybe want to use the female mold if you had the bottom of the skateboard mounted down. So first thing, let's get the mail mold file. I'm not going to go into how to use SkateCAD today. I'm just going to use the default files that were created. If you are interested in learning how to use SkateCAD, there is a user guide and there is also a tutorial video I did a live stream a little while ago on how to use it. Alright, so we've got our mail mold here. This is fine. The only thing I am going to do before I download it is change the model resolution, which is going to smooth out this chunky area in the transition section. So by reducing this number, I make the resolution finer, which is going to produce a model with greater detail. However, it takes a little bit longer to load. So we've got it nice and smooth. Make sure that this mold file has a mold width and length at least as big, preferably bigger, than your skateboard profile will be. So this is 34 inches long and 9.5 inches wide. I'm going to make a skateboard that is shorter and narrower than that. Generate STL, download STL, and as you can see there is a little pop-up. If you do enjoy using SkateCAD and it's helpful, you can donate and become a supporter on Patreon or just make a one-time donation via PayPal. Any support you're able to provide is greatly appreciated. And next, we're going to download the vector of the skateboard. And I can increase the resolution for this. So here's the skateboard profile we're going to use. We're going to download the SVG template. And we've got it all downloaded. Next, I'm going to open up VCarve. And I had a little project going before this. Okay, so this is the new file that I see when I open VCarve. I'm going to go through some of the parameters here. VCarve is software that generates toolpaths. There's different types of software. I use VCarve because it's what I learned first. And I'm not going to get into all the details of VCarve. I'm not going to get into all the details of setting up your router or anything like that. I would refer to VCarve and your router manufacturer for those details. I'm just going to focus on how I go about generating the toolpaths. So for the only things I'm going to change here, we're going to make sure our length, width, and thickness are correct, and those match up with the mail mold specs I had entered in. Make sure we're in inches. Z0 position, I'm going to zero to the surface of the skateboard. I'm not going to, alternatively, I could zero to the surface of the bed where my Z0 is. I prefer to do the material surface. My datum is going to be at the center of the workpiece. And we're just going to click on OK. Next, I'm going to import the 3D model. And I'm going to make sure it is centered. It's oriented the right way. When I change this parameter, I just pull this all the way down. This just works best for the settings I use. Sometimes it cuts my model off if I go above, if I move this bar in a different spot. So import. And next I'm going to import the vectors. You're going to have to go switch to the 2D view to see the vectors. And you can see there is the board. Thankfully, with SkateCAD, everything is oriented the way it shows up by default in the proper directions. So this is the nose, and this is the nose. If you are unsure, you can check by visually inspecting the model, or you may have to import another model that is different, that's drastically different, has a clearly identifiable nose and tail, and see how that gets imported, and then use that assumption of how it's getting imported to alter your model that may not be as clear to see. And another way I can check here, for example, too, is to see these notches. I get a readout down here at the bottom of the cursor position. So if we look here, we can see that our X value is about 10, and then the X value at the end of the mold is 17. So this distance from here to here is 7. And then here this is 10.25, and this should be 17 as well, 17. So the distance from here to here is a little bit less than 7. So this is our tail, and you can see this board I had with a slightly wider, fatter nose than tail. I'm going to switch to the drawing tab and use this align tool to align the vectors that are selected. This pink dashed line means these vectors are selected, and align it to the center of my material. And we do want to make sure that this did get positioned correctly. If you're maybe using other software, this may not automatically work out perfectly. So you can check, one way I like to check is by checking the kick gap. If I know I had a 1-inch kick gap, the distance between the notch here, the center of this notch, which is 10.25, and this center circle should be about 1 inches. So yep, we're at 9.25, and then the same thing on this side. This was 10, so we should be at 9 there. So we know that our vector and our 3D model are properly aligned. With Toolpaths, or to generate the Toolpaths, I'm going to click on that little tab that says Toolpaths, and then I'll use the little thumbtack to keep it open. We're going to generate a profile toolpath. And this is asking me to confirm my material setup. So we set a lot of these earlier. Rapid Z gaps above the material. This is how high your tool is going to move when it's just readjusting itself in space. So I usually have to set these kind of low because the CNC router I use doesn't have a ton of Z travel. So we've got 0.2 here, 0.2 here, and then with my home position, I'm also going to set that to 0.2. If I set that too high, the router will hit its upper limit and the toolpath won't work. Click OK. Now I have to set my cutting depth. So we're going to start at 0 inches, and we're going to go down to, we're going to cut through the board. This board is, my boards are about 7/16 of an inch thick because I use 7 1/16 inch veneers. So I want to cut all the way through. I'm going to say 0.5 inches for this example. If you have more variation, or if you are expecting to see more spring back, or maybe using a foam mold, you may want to make that a little bit deeper just so you get a little bit more clearance. So you are sure that you are accounting for any possible variations between the mold and how your board and the shape your board has relaxed into. Next, I'm going to select the end mill. This is the tool that's going to do the cutting. I don't have my tool set up in here. I typically use a 1/4 inch end mill for this, but there's better tools to use to do this on a production scale. I just use that because they're relatively cheap to some of the other options, and a compression cutting bit is supposedly best for doing plywood like a skateboard like this, where you're cutting all the way through. I simply use an upcut bit right now, and these settings you're going to get from, or most of these you'll get from like the tool manufacturer. So like your feed and speed, that you're going to have to look up from the specific tool for the specific tool you're using. And yeah, we're just going to leave this as the default. So select. Next, I'm going to edit passes. And I could have done what I'm going to do here in the other setting, but I'm going to reduce the number of passes. I've heard, generally speaking, that you can safely cut as deep as half your tool diameter. So if we have a 1/4 inch end mill, half of that would be 1/8 of an inch, so 0.125. So I'm going to reduce the number of passes to 4, and that happens to work out perfectly here. You can also adjust the pass depth manually here and play around with your passes. It's a little bit more advanced, but for this, I'm just going to leave it again at the default values. I'm going to click OK. Machine vectors. This tells us whether to cut inside the profile or outside the profile. This is very important because if we selected inside, our board would be too small by 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So we're going to select outside. We don't need to do a separate last pass. Tabs. I'm not going to put tabs on because the way I mount the skateboard is I drill the holes already, and then I mount the board to the CNC using those holes, and I screw down the board through those holes. So the boards I use typically already have the holes, and when I cut the whole thing out, the board isn't just gonna like fly out freely. If you are like cutting down the whole thing, or you're having it mounted, if you're cutting out, everything at once and only have it mounted, for example, at the exterior parts of the skateboard blank, the uncut blank, you're gonna want to put on tabs, which are just little, I'll just do a quick example. So if I click add tabs, edit tabs, if I put like a tab right there, it's going to leave some material there according to the tab specifications I give it, so that this is still going to be attached with a small amount of material. You can then clean that up with a jigsaw and trim router later on. But I'm not going to do that here. Ramp, I don't need a ramp here, I don't think. Usually I use a ramp. I've heard that they're more necessary with router bits that aren't really intended for plunge cuts. And a ramp just tells the router to, when it moves down, to move down at an angle. All right, we're going to select our vectors. We're going to choose all closed vectors here. And the unfortunate thing is that it selects the holes as well. So since I don't need the holes, I can delete them, or you can move these to a new layer. So if I select just the holes, right click and click move to layer, I can select new layer, layer 2, and when I select the vectors, I can just deselect layer 2. And we're just going to call this profile 1, click on calculate. Oh, but I forgot to do something. So I'm going to double click it, and we need to project the toolpath to the 3D model. Now we're going to recalculate this. And you can see these blue lines represent the toolpath, how the tool is going to move in space. You can see it's in the shape of a skateboard. And I can preview the toolpath. I'm going to move my speed down a little bit so it just doesn't disappear super fast. Okay, it's going real fast, so I slowed it down a bit more. And you can see the tool moves up and down and is cutting in accordance with the 3D model, which is pretty cool. And obviously, sorry, if you want to go back to preview toolpath, you just click on that button. Obviously we don't have a block that we're mounting on here. This is kind of irrelevant. You're going to be mounting a skateboard on here. The main thing you care about is how the tool is moving, so these blue lines are the most important thing. If we go to 2D view, we can confirm that the toolpath, this brown line, is outside of our pink dashed line, which is our profile. And that's pretty much it. You just have to save your toolpath now. You need to select a post-processor for your specific CNC machine. And that is how you generate the toolpath. If you do have an opportunity to cut the holes, you simply would generate a drilling toolpath, and similar to the way we did the profile toolpath, input your cut depth, select your drill bit, and tell it the depth you want it to go, and you drill your holes. Just make sure that only the circles you want to drill are selected. I hope this video has been helpful, and again, if you find value and enjoy using SkateCAD, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon. Your help really does make a difference and enable me to make improvements to the software so that it's easier to use and can do more things for you. Thanks so much and have a great day.